they say like back to yourself, but there really is no back to yourself. Like we should not have to feel that way. Like I do feel like you've just entered this phase of your life where you've brought in a new family member and your body is going to be different, and that's okay.
Hey everyone, it's Anna Rumer here at Pop Culture. We have a super exciting guest for us today. Ashley Tisdale's on the line. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ashley.
Thank you.
First off, congratulations on becoming a mom. How have the first few months with baby Jupiter been?
It's been amazing. She's so cute. She just turned 3 months yesterday. So she's just changing daily.
The time really does fly. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because the time flies by, but the days seem long. I don't know how to explain that. So it's like, you know, you're like in it and you're like, this is a really long time. But then it flies by and you're like, oh my gosh, she's not so little anymore. And like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy. Like, it's just so wild.
Has there been anything about motherhood that was like really unexpected, something you didn't hear from other people?
Yeah, I would say, actually I have said, but what was unexpected was we had trouble breastfeeding, and no one really kind of explained how hard breastfeeding actually is.
Yeah.
So I really had no like idea. But I was, you know, looking kind of forward to it. And unfortunately she, from the very beginning, like in the hospital, she was not latching and she was really frustrated. She's a bit hangry sometimes, like me. So
who isn't?
And I just like honestly was not working fast enough for us. And she was just, I just kind of like in this moment where I was like, oh wait, I just didn't expect for this to happen. Like I thought it was very easy and it would just happen. Like, you know, I see my friends breastfeeding and I'm like, wait, what? So I tried really hard for about like a week and a half. And what happened was I just felt like we were striving versus thriving. And I turned to my husband and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, we're creating like in this moment, she just came out and like, there's this, like, we're creating this frustration around feeding. And I couldn't have that like special moment with her as I'm like staring at her. She's like crying and fussy and like still not like latching really well. And like, I just was like, why am I doing this? Is this for me or is this for her? Because it's obviously not for her. There's a better solution. And so I pretty much like had no guilt. I was just like, okay, let's do something else. And she went to the bottle right away. And then after obviously like researching and doing, you know, my mom part on finding the best formula, we landed on Enfamil's Inspire, which is the closest to breast milk. And also crazy, I actually was formula fed on Enfamil as well. So it was just like a very trusted brand. But no, it had like all these key ingredients like lactoferrin, which is, you know, in breast milk, and omega-3 DHA for her, you know, growth and development. So I just felt for us, this was the right thing. And honestly, it was the best decision because it's been like, it's just been so much better from there on out, you know, like it's just one of probably our toughest hurdles.
Yeah. Fed is best regardless of what path you go down. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and have you noticed anything about yourself kind of transforming as you become a mom and entered this brand new part of your life?
I don't know if there's anything like really transforming. I guess I've become more patient. I have to learn. Like I was not good at being patient in the past. And I'm still bad at being patient in some ways of like, you know, just obviously my like working out and trying to kind of get back into a certain like, you know, gene that I feel like I should get into, but that I'm like impatient about. However, with her, I've learned a lot of patience because you have to. And there are those times where it's like, you know, in the very beginning, obviously when all that stuff was happening and the breastfeeding, it was just like, it was hard. And so I just had to gain a lot of patience there. And so that is definitely something that's transformed about me.
Yeah, well, that's awesome to hear. You kind of have to. Like, there's no other choice. You have to become a little bit more patient.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard when they're hysterically crying, but you just have to be patient.
Yes.
So,
Well, and you mentioned kind of your postpartum journey where you're like working out and getting back into, whatever that pair of jeans is. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how your mindset's working with that?
yeah. I mean, I think for myself, it was just something that, I think that because like there's a lot of factors, like obviously before I was pregnant, we were in the pandemic. So I was wearing a lot of sweats. And so I was really excited after being pregnant for so long. I was like, I can't wait to wear normal clothes. And so when it didn't happen right away, I was like, what's happening? And there's also just like a lot of like pressure, I think, because of jumping back into work. And a lot of my work has photos involved and seeing myself like not, it's like you've had the baby, but you're not like, I don't know. They say like back to yourself, but there really is no back to yourself. Like we should not have to feel that way. Like I do feel like you've just entered this phase of your life where you've brought in a new family member and your body is going to be different. And that's okay. Like your body is like just done this amazing, beautiful thing. And you need to have patience with it. And also it's just like, it's okay if you don't fit into those jeans that used to fit in. Like who cares? Like look at your baby. Like that's what you created. So I just felt like in that moment I was, there's like, I think for me, it's just getting back to a healthy diet and just kind of like, I've always been someone who works out and has that strength. And I just don't have the strength yet. But that's kind of where my focus is more on than like trying to get back into a certain pair of jeans. Like I think that I tend to put that weird, like, oh, that's what it is, but it's not that. It's really about just kind of getting back to like your healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, and that's a transition in of itself where you go back and forth too. So
yeah, I mean, I was saying on Insta story the other night, I was like, I was eating not great before I got pregnant. And it's because like we're in this pandemic and like it's scary. I have anxiety. So I was like more eating comfort food. And I was one of those people making the banana bread a little bit too much. So it was just like, I kind of had to remember like, okay, what are the best foods for you? And like kind of go back to that. I did allow myself while I was pregnant to eat what I was craving. And I had a really rough first trimester where I was really nauseated. So it is in that moment, you're just like trying to eat what's going to make you feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you mentioned you're getting back to work. I personally, I've got to ask, have you heard anything about season 2 of Masked Dancer? Because I'm obsessed. I've got to have more.
I know, it was so much fun. We haven't heard, but that was honestly such a fun experience for me because I think it's just like fun to be myself and not a character. But like, I also just like love music and dancing and I was having the best time of my life, like the best time of my life. And so it'd be like, I would love to do it again. It was so much fun.
Oh, it was such a blast. I love The Masked Singer, The Masked Dancer, both a blast, both like the most insane shows on television in a wonderful way. What celeb would be unmasked that would totally leave you like starstruck?
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
I know.
Man, I think like it was really funny because my guessing was always so horrible and so
mine would be too.
I also just like really was hoping that they'd be them. Trying to think of one of the ones that I was like really hoping for. Man, I don't know. I feel like maybe someone who we had a lot of like actual professional dancers. And so I would love to just see someone that would just like really shock me. I think that at one point I thought maybe Will Ferrell was sloth. And that would be something that I'd be like, yes, that's crazy.
That's a bucket list item for sure.
Yes.
Well, and you've also launched French Interiors. Can you tell me a little bit about what the inspiration behind that is and what's gone into that over the past year?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so funny because I have been doing interior design weirdly. And also obviously doing my own house and putting all the furniture together. But I actually renovated a kitchen with my dad for the house that I sold to to the girl who bought it. And that was the coolest experience and something that I really enjoyed and had fun doing. So I honestly just was like putting Frenchie interiors on Instagram because I was like, oh yeah, maybe I could share some of my journey. It is hard to do all of like even your personal like Instagram with another. It's like, so I'm not as like, I should be more active on Frenchie interiors, but I'm having the best time. Like I honestly have been putting this house together, and it's cool because I've worked with other interior designers in the past, and that's been a great experience. But there's something about being able to like choose the item yourself, and I've fallen in love with like each piece that I have like bought, and to have people DM me or have friends be like, I have friends reach out to me all the time asking to help them with like, you know, what they're doing in their place. It feels really good. I'm like, man, I think I'm pretty good at this. So it's really fun.
Yeah. How would you describe your taste? Because it's like, it's so aspirational for me. I have no idea how to put any of that stuff together.
I think that my taste changes because I am someone who I have moved a lot. And I have flipped homes weirdly. But I let the house speak for itself in a weird way. I don't know how to explain it, but like when you see a house, you're like inspired by that house and what should be in it. So for instance, the house that I had prior to this one was so different in design, and that was because of that house was perfect for it. But I think the kind of thread is that I do love Spanish homes, and I am someone who loves to work with vintage. So a little bit of like a rustic feel, but right now I'm doing modern, which I have never really done before. And it's pretty cool. It's really fun.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to see what you tackle next. Do you have any new horizons that you're tackling in the near future?
I think actually the client that we did the kitchen for wants to do more in her home. So I would be doing more of that. And that would be fun because I'm now it's the point where I'm like kind of almost finished with my house. So I'm like, okay, what should I work on next with interiors? It's just like such a fun hobby. You know, it's like I've worked so long in this business and like obviously like acting and so yeah, I think that like things that kind of are just more, I don't know how to explain it, but just like a little hobby off to the side. It's like like Frenchie to me is I have such a love to like, I love writing about something I'm going through or need to get off my chest, or just like being able to connect with my community and like share about my journey and non-toxic living, and also just share that on Frenchie Interiors. Like I really care about what, like when I post on my Instagram and say like, do you guys think this is the right chair? Like I really am asking. I like want to involve people. It's so much fun to do that. So so it's just fun to have those little like things that are just like what you're passionate about.
Yeah, well, that's awesome to hear. And I'm super excited for what's coming next for you and for your life at home. I really appreciate you talking with me today.
Thank you so much.